what quantum mechanics is finding is like insane. We live in a sea of waves and particles. So like everything around us is waves and particles. And everything essentially, this is the part that they're finding, is in a state of what's called superposition, meaning electrons are in like a wave-like state, literally just kind of flowing. And it's not until they are actually observed that the electron will then collapse into the manifestation of the thing that it's observed to be. So what that means is that everything in this world is made up of waves and particles, and it has the potential to be anything that we want it to be. It has the potential to, like, people or something's observance of an electron actually changes the outcome of it. And this is called the observer effect, is what they're finding. So consciousness researchers have been like really studying this, because they basically do a double slit test, which is basically where they're putting light particles like electrons and such through a test where they see what the outcome is if the waves are not observed, and then they see what the outcome is if the waves are then observed by like a human eye. And what's crazy is that the outcome of the same electron changes based on the observance of it. So that goes back into what superposition is. Superposition means that until something is observed, it is in a wave where it has the potential to become anything, and the potential of it is based on what the observer's perspective or thoughts about it are. We don't fully know why that happens, but the most likely outcome, the highest probability outcome for that electron when it's in a wave state, is what it will collapse into. So what that means, the way I understand it, is that quantum physicists are becoming a lot more effective in terms of understanding how our realities work and like how we work within our realities. And it means that we have potentially a lot more control over our realities, because our observation of our reality actually changes the chemical molecular makeup of it. So what these consciousness researchers, they're not even consciousness researchers, it's really hard to say that word, researchers are finding is that consciousness might actually be what's called fundamental, meaning it is the baseline of our reality. So like everything around us, they're finding, might actually be consciousness. Like this whole world, me, you, everything, these guys that are running here, the birds that are over here, like all of it, everything is consciousness, which is a direct challenge from what we thought it was, which was just space-time. And so because we also have the ability to affect consciousness, they're seeing now through our observation of it, they're also finding that thought and our intentions and our thoughts are also attached to consciousness, and how we think of something, how we perceive of something, our gaze at something, our noticing something, literally changes the outcome of what that thing becomes. So if we talk about thoughts in terms of consciousness, thoughts there's this whole book called Thought Forms, where it's essentially talking about how thoughts are things. Thoughts are their own like frequency, essentially. Thoughts have their own kind of like existence, like their own energy to them. And so for me, when I used to just go through my day and think about anything, I would just take what came to me and I would just, talk about it, not worry, not be concerned with what I was thinking about, take in all the YouTube content, take in all the social media content, take in all of the stupid TV shows and the music. My life was so much more, I would say, tumultuous than what it is today. It wasn't until I started to actively pay attention to the thoughts I was thinking and how those thoughts made me feel, but then also the input that I was bringing in and the things that I was observing, that my life completely started to change, and absolutely change. So I've gone from being anxious, depressed, living in my dad's basement 5 years ago, making exactly $0. I'd quit my job, like probably 16 years that I was struggling with anxiety, waking up crying. Like if you've ever been in anxious, like an anxiety, you know, it's like you're just stuck. You're just stuck in your mind, just stuck in that place for years. And I had drama with friends. I had very low self-esteem. I just felt like no one really cared about me. I didn't want to live in the city that I was in, but I didn't want to move because I didn't have enough money and all that. So once I started to understand this concept of thoughts are frequencies, what we notice actually changes the outcome, and what we think about actually matters to then create our own realities, is when I actually shifted my reality. So, you know, like essentially I think I had a choice every single day to get up and just look at my life and look at all the problems, or like open YouTube and look at all the videos that are like, if you don't do this, you're gonna die, or look at all of the, you know, the news. Like the news is such a good example of just like fear mongering, telling me everything that's going wrong. Like I used to wake up as a kind of routine with my mom every morning when I was little, and we just put on the news, and it's only like, here's the problems, here's the problems, here's the problems, here's the problems. It is nothing good. Like it's nothing good. It's same with like pharmaceutical advertisements, and again, like social media. The things that catch our attention for some reason as humans is like all the problems. And so, you know, I was bombarded with constant negative input about things that were going wrong. And as a result, I had a baseline like frequency as my makeup of anxious, sad, worried, negative, what if this happened, like energy. Once I started to recognize that I had the ability to start shifting that and noticing all the other things in my life that were going well, is when I actually started to see more of that come into my life, and my life over time completely transformed. I ended up getting hired at a very well-known, you know, Fortune 500 company at a pretty high up position, making well into the six figures like that. The company moved me to the city that I wanted to go to, that I didn't have money to go to. I couldn't afford it. They gave me $10,000 to do it. It just fell into my lap. I moved to this city, and I like immediately meet my best friends, who are like the most amazing people, really amazing people. All of the drama with other friends completely cleared up. I ended anxiety. I haven't had anxiety for years. Completely ended the issues of like waking up crying. No depression. Ended that completely. I used to have an eating disorder too. Completely ended that. I created this YouTube channel where I have the opportunity to talk to people like you and I've like been interviewing these consciousness researchers, you know, about all this, and like my life completely did a 180 once I started to pay attention to what was coming in and noticing what I was noticing. Because if we go back to this quantum physics kind of thing, what they're finding is like, if everything in this world is made up of waves and particles, and all of the electrons and all that are in a wave-like state until we notice them, and then they collapse, and how we think of them, how we perceive of them affects what they collapse into. The way I see that is that potentially, like basically everything has the potential to be what we want it to be. We have the ability to affect reality literally based on what we choose to notice and how we choose to think about it. And then the thing that I really learned about this is that what I noticed, I'd get more of. So, you know, going to like the law of attraction stuff that people talk about, or, you know, birds of a feather flock together. Thoughts are frequencies. Thoughts have emotions attached to them. And just like anything else, like, you know, you get what you are basically in this world. I had to realize that because I was anxious all the time, because I was thinking all these anxious thoughts, because I was cycling anxiety provoking things, trying to fix my problems all the time, taking in all of the YouTube content, all of the negative information, the news, hearing about all of it, like just constantly thinking about the problems. Like I was essentially looking at situations and projecting that negativity onto them. So I was looking at this potential situation that could be a bad thing because that's what I was familiar with. I was just downloading all of the negative things because that's what the news feeds you. That's what social media algorithms feed. Like, so many people post on social media all these negative things because they get our attention. It works. Like, it helps to get people like watching it and clicking it and paying attention to it. But that became the baseline of my thoughts, my reality. So my perception of reality was very fear-based, very negative-based. Like, oh, this bad thing could happen if I do this, or people are just this way, or, oh, this is what life is like. It's like a negative slant to it, kind of. And that's what it would then become. And that goes back to the quantum mechanics thing, is we have, through our thoughts, through our perceptions of things, we have the ability to literally change the outcome of something. So what I started to do was shift the way I saw my life. And that was through shifting the thoughts that I think and the perceptions that I have and the belief systems that I have. And it just worked. It just worked. Like, I'm telling you, like, I tried so many things in my life. I went to therapy. I went to, I stopped drinking. I don't smoke weed anymore. I eat carnivore. All of those things contribute to this, because I think a lot of substances have the effect of like lowering consciousness, because they kind of sometimes can take you out of a state, positive state, at least for me. And still, the thing that changed my life the most was starting to practice the thoughts that I wanted to keep thinking and get more of. And so what I started doing was writing down all the good things that happened yesterday, effectively working with my thoughts in terms of frequencies, like actively thinking about thoughts and realizing that thoughts have frequencies attached to them. Thoughts are things. It's that whole thought forms thing. Our thoughts affect an electron and how it actually collapses into the highest potential. So the thing that we think about the most literally projects that onto the electron, and then it increases the probability of the electron collapsing into whatever that is. So like, everything is neutral. Even this guy doing push-ups over here. Like, everything is neutral. Everything has the potential to be anything. But our thoughts, they're finding, literally affect the outcome of what it will be. And so me projecting negative thoughts on things, my brain being consciously surrounded by negative thoughts because of social media, our brains are like algorithms. What we kind of subscribe to, we get more of. What we keep noticing, we get more of. What we tap into, what we like and notice and hover over on our social media, Instagram, whatever, we get more of, right? Our brains are the same. So shifting my thoughts to frequencies that are a high feeling frequency, a good thought pattern, like, it just changed everything. So, I've been talking with a lot of these consciousness experts about what they're finding with consciousness and how it actually does, what it means for us. And it's pretty incredible how, I think we have so much more creative power than what we've been led to believe. We have so much more ability to impact our realities through our thoughts, through our perceptions, through our focus, and learning to just really focus on the things I want and talk about the things that I want and notice them and enhance them was so key to changing my entire life. So I do this thing every single day, and I've been doing this for 5 years to do exactly what I'm talking about. I never planned on sharing this because it's like it was like a very private thing. I didn't know what I was doing at the time, but now that there's quantum mechanics stuff coming out, I understand what it is. I do this thing called the Magic Book, and it is what has shifted my life completely. And, I think we in society are surrounded by so much input all the time that it's hard to be able to know how to shift our thoughts, how to shift our frequency, elevate our frequency, because it's hard. We're constantly surrounded by other inputs, other frequencies. And this is what I have done for 5 years that has completely shifted my life, the Magic Book. So if you're curious about wanting to do this with me, or learn how to do it, I've been starting up a community where we're doing this together to learn like basically to teach what I've learned over the last 6 years. I have spent like thousands and thousands of hours of doing this, talked with quantum experts. I had this guy, Thomas Campbell, on, he was recently on Joe Rogan, but he's one of the leading physicists studying consciousness. He and I talked about this. I also just had on Dr. Diane Hennessy Powell, she's a chief scientist who is from Harvard and did the telepathy tapes, who studies telepathy in nonverbal autistic kids. Like, all this stuff sounds so woo-woo, but at the end of the day, like, there's something there that I can speak to in my experience. Like, the results of my life are just a pure result. Like, the things I wrote about in Magic Book actually happened. But it's through this shifting of the frequencies things. And, all these other physicists are trying to understand consciousness. How does consciousness affect reality? Does it affect reality? And it's that whole superposition, the observer effect thing that gives me, it's like we have so much power in our attention, in our thought patterns, in our projections, in our perceptions. It's just a matter of shifting those frequencies to things that we want more of. And then everything around us comes to us to match that. Because they say, birds of a feather flock together, you get what you are, like attracts like. Like, we're all electromagnetic beings. This whole universe is electronic. And so the energy that we are, we get back. That's just how it works with frequencies. Like, it's just how it works. So I had to shift my frequency to then start bringing in what I wanted, which was like love and friendship and loyalty and money and opportunity and, the place that I wanted to live in and all those things. So if you're interested in wanting to learn how to do this and do this with me, or, at least get started so you can kind of learn how to, everybody's always like, you can change your reality and shift your reality and shift your thoughts. It's like, yeah, but how? This is how I did it. And once you get it, it's like life-changing. So let me know if you'd want to join that. Drop in the comments below the word Magic Book, and or you can click this link that I'm going to attach as a pinned comment there to sign up for a webinar that I'm hosting, which is, you can just come in, check it out, it's free, see if you're interested in doing that, and I'll kind of walk you through my process. So I hope this makes sense. We are so much more than what we've been taught and told and sold. Our lives, I think, we have the ability to influence them. But, it's not until you know that you can really start to feel how much power and potential we have. So, sun is coming out. Finally, it's really beautiful. I'm gonna go. I hope you have a great day. I'll see you on the next one.